Welcome back. Today we're diving deep into something huge, a really landmark legal event, the 2025 antitrust ruling against Google.
Yeah, this one really sent shockwaves.
It did. And it's not just, some corporate legal battle. We're talking about Google, a company that's, well, woven into our daily digital life.
Absolutely. Search, ads, phones, everything.
And the big headline was, Google avoids breakup, the so-called nuclear option. But looking at our sources, the story is much, much deeper than that.
Oh, definitely. Avoiding the breakup came at a, let's say, significant price.
Exactly. The remedies, the changes they have to make, they could fundamentally reshape the internet as you know it. How you search, what choices pop up on your phone, it's all potentially changing. So our mission today, let's unpack this. The accusations, what the DOJ really wanted, the judge's surprising verdict, and yeah, what it means for you and for competition online.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so before we get to the actual ruling, maybe paint the picture for us. What landed Google in the hot seat in the first place? Why this intense scrutiny?
Right. Well, it wasn't just that Google was big. I mean, obviously they are. It was more about how they allegedly use that size.
Okay.
Our sources show Google controls, what, over 90% of U.S. search queries? That's staggering.
90%.
It's not just market share. It's this, self-feeding loop, right? More searches mean more data, which means better search results, which means more users and more ad money.
Right, and that ad money is huge, isn't it?
Colossal. Reports put it around $280 billion a year flowing through that system. That buys a lot of power, a lot of influence. And the legal side really ramped up in 2024. Remember that district court ruling? A bombshell. Found Google had illegally monopolized search and digital ads.
Yeah, I remember that.
And the Department of Justice, based on the court filings, they weren't messing around. They called Google, and this is a quote, a monopolist that abuses power to censor rivals.
Wow, censor rivals. That sounds extreme. Did the sources detail how they actually, censored anyone? Or was it more about market control?
That's a really good point. Censor might sound like, actively blocking sites. But in this context, reading through the analysis, it's more about how their practices effectively choked off the competition.
Ah, okay. So less direct censorship, more market strangulation.
Exactly. Think about it. Making it super expensive, almost impossible logistically for another search engine or ad platform to even get noticed.
Right.
Those long-term exclusive deals, like the famous Apple one we'll probably get into, meant rivals couldn't even get onto major devices by default. So the accusation wasn't just Google won fairly. It was more like Google rigged the game so others couldn't even play.
Okay, that makes sense. So given that feeling that the game was rigged, the DOJ and all those states, they came in swinging, right? Their demands were pretty aggressive.
Aggressive is putting it mildly. Yeah, the DOJ plus 38 states, they basically pushed for what everyone started calling the nuclear option. They wanted to dismantle core parts of Google.
Like what specifically?
Well, first, Chrome divestiture, forcing Google to sell off the Chrome browser.
Sell Chrome. Wow.
Yeah, think about it. Chrome handles something like 40% of U.S. search traffic, and it's key to their ad targeting. Losing Chrome would have just fractured their whole data system.
Huge. What else?
Then they put Android on the chopping block, seriously threatened to make them spin off Android if mobile competition didn't improve.
Spin off Android, the world's biggest mobile OS.
Can you imagine? That would have been seismic, breaking their hold on phones, on how billions access the internet. Just massive.
Those are almost unthinkable changes. But I remember hearing a lot about the money side too, specifically that Apple deal. That was a big target, wasn't it?
You're spot on. Strategically, financially, ending those exclusive default search deals was maybe one of the biggest demands. And yeah, the Apple partnership was the poster child. Reports said it was worth over $20 billion a year just for Google to be the default search on iPhones, iPads.
$20 billion.
Yeah.
Just for default status.
Exactly. It wasn't just cash. It cemented habits. It funneled users straight into Google. So yeah, the demands were incredibly bold, aimed right at the heart of Google's dominance.
Okay, so the stage is set. Massive company, found to be a monopoly, DOJ demanding breakups. And then September 2025, Judge Amit Mehta steps in. And the outcome gets called a plot twist. What happened? What was the core of his ruling?
Well, yeah, plot twist is a good way to put it. Judge Mehta basically took a step back from the edge. He explicitly said no to the forced breakup.
So Google keeps Chrome and Android.
They do. He actually said, and this quote was everywhere, breaking up Chrome and Android would be messy and risky, acknowledging the potential chaos, but Google's monopolistic practices must end.
So you broke the law, but breaking you up is too messy.
Kind of, yeah. It captures that dilemma. He saw the illegal behavior, but he was clearly worried about the knock-on effects of a full breakup on, the whole tech world, on users.
Right.
So the nuclear option was diffused. But, and this is the key part, it wasn't like Google walked away scot-free. Not at all.
Okay, so what was the trade-off?
The trade-off was keep your structure, but lose those key exclusive contracts and accept some pretty significant new rules on how you operate. And to make sure they follow through, he set up a 6-year oversight committee.
6 years of monitoring.
Yep. Someone looking over their shoulder. And you saw Google's CEO, Sundar Pichai, try to put a positive spin on it immediately, right? Saying the court recognized AI's impact and intense competition.
Yeah, I saw that quote, framing it like a partial win. Did that intense competition argument actually fly with the judge at all, according to the sources? Or was that just PR for the shareholders?
That's a sharp question. Look, Google's lawyers definitely argued about competition from, Meta, Amazon, AI startups. But most legal analysts looking at the ruling think the judge wasn't really buying it for the specific markets in question and search ads.
Right.
That intense competition line, especially mentioning AI, seems like it played better as a PR move. And hey, it worked for investors, didn't it?
Yeah, the stock jumped 8%, right?
It did. Big sigh of relief on Wall Street. They saw no breakup and thought, okay, this is manageable. But the core, finding the illegal monopoly that still stood, the remedies were just less drastic than the DOJ wanted.
Got it. So Google keeps its structure, but the hammer did fall.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into the specifics. What exactly were these remedies? What changes now?
Okay, this is where it gets really concrete, the stuff that changes the day-to-day. First, the big one. What some of our analysis is calling the contract killer remedy.
Contract killer. Sounds dramatic.
Well, it kind of is. Google must end all those exclusive deals where they pay to be the default search engine on phones, browsers, whatever.
So no more multi-billion-dollar payments to Apple just to be the default.
Line. Finished. And that's smart, right? Instead of a messy breakup, you cut off the financial deals that bought the dominance?
Yeah, that makes sense. It forces competition on merit, not just who has the deepest pockets.
Exactly. Breaks that barrier. Now, rivals don't have to outbid Google's billions just to get a shot.
Okay, that opens the door. But what about Google's massive data advantage? That's always been their ace in the hole.
Great point. And that leads to the second big remedy, the data sharing mandate.
Ooh, okay. What does that mean? Share everything.
Not quite everything. Google now has to share its search index. Think of that like its giant, constantly updated map of the internet, and also user interaction data with competitors.
User interaction data, like what I searched for.
No, not personal stuff. It's anonymized, aggregated data, like patterns of how people generally click, what they engage with after searching for certain things, the big picture trends.
Ah, okay. So it's like giving rivals a peek at the map and how people generally use it, but not the individual routes.
That's a good analogy. For years, Google had this map and all the usage data completely to themselves, a closed loop. Now, competitors get access to some fundamental ingredients, the index map, the general user patterns, so they can train their own AI, build better search engines.
That sounds like a pretty big leveling of the playing field.
It is significant, but, and this is crucial, their ad data remains secret for now.
So the core money-making data is still locked down.
Pretty much. A huge win for Google's revenue stream, and you can bet rivals are not happy about that part. They argue you can't really compete in search without visibility into the ad side, too.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So data sharing, but with limits.
Right.
What about Android? It was on the shopping block, but they kept it. Any changes there?
Yes, definitely. Another key remedy, Android opens up. Google now must allow rival AI chatbots and search engines to be preloaded onto Android devices without restrictions.
Preloaded. So when I buy a new phone, it might come with something other than Google search front and center.
Exactly. Before, Google had tight control. They, obviously prioritized their own stuff. Now, a competitor, a different search engine, a new AI assistant can make a deal directly with Samsung or whoever to have their app pre-installed right there from the start.
That removes a huge barrier for users actually trying something new.
A massive one. And one more thing on contracts. To stop Google just making new long-term deals, all default search agreements now have to be terminable yearly.
Ah, so they can't lock rivals out for 5 years at a time anymore.
Nope. They have to re-earn that default spot every single year. Keeps the pressure on, keeps competition alive.
These are definitely big shifts. So how did the industry react? What were the immediate shockwaves, and what does this signal more broadly for tech?
Well, the reactions were pretty varied, as you'd expect. Google, naturally, voiced concerns. Their official lines were about user security, privacy risks from data sharing.
The privacy panic you mentioned.
Right. And also innovation anxiety, claiming this could stifle new ideas, hurt consumer choice. Standard defensive playbook, really.
But the market liked it.
The stock market did, yeah. That 8% jump showed investors were just relieved the breakup didn't happen. Stability over radical change for them.
Okay, so Google's worried officially. Investors are relieved.
Yeah.
What about the DOJ? They didn't get the breakup they wanted.
True, but they still framed it as a big win. Assistant Attorney General Abigail Slater said, quote, "This ruling is a major win for the American people and fair competition."
Strong words.
Yeah, and they made it clear they'll be watching Google like hawks via that oversight committee, ready to pounce if there are violations. And interestingly, our sources suggest the DOJ sees this as a template almost.
The template? For what?
For regulating AI. They're very focused on stopping similar anti-competitive stuff happening in the new AI markets before it even starts, using this Google case as a lesson.
That's interesting. Proactive regulation for AI.
Exactly, and the broader impact. Well, it sets a huge legal precedent for how you regulate these massive AI-powered platforms. It genuinely cracks the door open for rivals in search and AI assistance in a way that hasn't happened before.
So more competition is actually possible now.
More possible, yes. And it signals to all the tech giants, Amazon, Meta, Apple, Microsoft, that governments are getting serious about how they control data, how they manage their platforms, potential market manipulation. Scrutiny is up across the board.
That increased scrutiny feels like a major theme. Are people drawing comparisons to, say, older antitrust cases, like Microsoft back in the day, or even AT&T? Does that help put this in perspective?
That's a great question. Analysts are definitely making those comparisons, but carefully. It's not quite like the AT&T breakup, obviously, because Google stays intact.
Right.
But it's similar in symbolism. The AT&T case marked the end of an era for telco monopolies. This Google ruling signals that even today's tech giants aren't untouchable. Their control over digital gateways will be challenged.
Okay.
The Microsoft comparison is maybe closer in some ways. Microsoft kept Windows, but had to open it up more to other software. Here, Google keeps Chrome and Android, but has to allow rivals more access within those platforms.
Forcing the ecosystem open rather than breaking it apart.
Exactly. It's a different approach, maybe more suited to the complexity of today's integrated tech platforms.
Okay, so pulling this all together, what does it actually mean for us? For you, the listener, using your phone, searching online, how has the landscape really changed, and where do these search wars go next?
Right, let's do that before and after. Before, Google pays billions to Apple, others, locks in default status, competitors. Pretty much locked out. For many users, Google was search, almost unconsciously.
Yeah, just the path of least resistance.
Totally. After. Those exclusive contracts. Banned. Any search provider can now bid for that default spot. Data sharing the index, the user patterns gives rivals a leg up, and on Android, you might actually see rival search engines or AI tools preloaded. Choice becomes more visible, more accessible.
So potentially more real choice hitting our devices soon. What's the long view? Where does this lead?
Well, the future looks dynamic.
Yeah.
AI, chatbots, different kinds of search engines, they genuinely have a better shot now at challenging Google. This ruling isn't the end of the story. It feels more like the opening chapter in a new fight for, let's call it, digital democracy. You might find yourself using an innovative AI tool as your main search interface, or maybe a niche search engine focused on privacy, or something else entirely. It's not just about finding websites anymore. It's about who controls access to information in an AI world.
So the battleground is shifting.
It really is.
Yeah.
And this ruling sets the new rules of engagement for that battle. It's going to be fascinating to watch.
So you can really see it now. Google dodged that nuclear option, the full breakup. But wow, they've been forced to dismantle some of the core tactics, the very strategies that built their massive empire. It's definitely not the end of Google. But it feels like the end of an era, doesn't it? An era where their dominance was almost assumed, unchallenged.
I think that's exactly right. The signal's a totally new phase. Regulated competition, innovation potentially coming from new places, especially in AI. And you can bet the legal fights, the market jockeying, the government watching closely, that's all going to keep shaping how we access the internet for years. The digital power balance is definitely shifting.
So here's a final thought for you to take away. With this playing field being leveled, even just partially, what unexpected innovations might pop up? What new companies, maybe ones we haven't even heard of yet, could emerge as leaders? And how could that fundamentally change your daily digital life in ways we just can't predict right now? Imagine interacting with info differently, maybe through a totally new kind of AI. What could that look like?
Lots to think about there.
Definitely. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We really encourage you to keep following this story. It's far from over.